Let's start with Liverpool. I think Liverpool is an interesting one, mostly because I feel like these are not names that we would necessarily associate with Liverpool, except for the situation of where they are with their project and where they are in the title race.
Interesting.
So my first
Not sure
move,
I know what that means, but I'm excited for...
well, my first move, and I think we might have discussed it on one of our first 2 episodes, is João Palhinha. Going to Liverpool for $60 million. I believe...
You included price tags.
For some of them I did. I think
Okay.
he's going to be around $60 million. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been rumored to Bayern. He's been rumored to Arsenal. I think it's actually going to be a heavy race. I think Arsenal are going to be interested. I think they're going to look for another midfielder. I will get to
think Arsenal would spend big money on another 6?
Yes.
Wow. Is that from Mr. 7.5 source, or is that from your brain?
Mix of source and my brain and my understanding of the way Arsenal is structured. I can get into this now, or we can wait till we talk Arsenal.
Oh, let's wait then.
Okay.
Yes. Good
So,
point.
yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit. Like, they need a 6. They haven't replaced Fabinho. They have Basetic, who's obviously who's young, but is going to be great. And I think he is a long-term 6. And I think Palhinha is the right age profile where he doesn't get in his way, right? He comes in right now. He's an aggressive midfielder the way Klopp likes. He can cover a lot of space. He's actually fairly good in the final third as well. I think he's a big-bodied 6. It's the kind of profile that Klopp loves at this position. It makes sense right now to help them go out and win the title. I think João Palhinha is a no-brainer for them, and I think they can beat Bayern to it. If I'm him, I want to stay in the Premier League. I just got here.
Do you think Bayern will be back in on him in January? Because I know
I think Bayern
for whatever
will wait till
reason,
the summer.
they don't get along very well.
Kimmich and Tuchel.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's getting along with Tuchel all that well over there.
That's fair. Okay, I will go with my first. We'll go back and forth
Sure.
for Liverpool, and it just makes sense because number 1 is getting a 6. They're obviously in for both guys that Chelsea got, and they ran out of time, essentially, because they didn't get either of them. They need to get a 6 in. A few names. I know they're linked with Kefren Turam
Yeah.
over the summer, so I don't know what that looks like in terms of would he move in January.
Sure.
And then the other name that I had that I haven't seen rumors of, this is more of like I think it would be great and love to see it happen, is Benacer from AC Milan.
Highlander.
Yeah, I think, is he? I didn't know that. He is amazing, and I think
Big fan. So when he went to AC Milan, Arsenal had the opportunity to have a buyback clause. I think it was like £2.5 million. But it was like right in the in-between era between Emery and Arteta, and they didn't activate it. And I actually don't think he would have fit Arteta's system so well. Like, I'm not sure he's totally capable of playing as a lone 6.
That's what I was about to say.
Well, I think that is like what he does, but in the Premier League, that's another level. But I think he could play as a 6 with McAllister as like more of the
That's what I was
box.
thinking. McAllister was drilled, and not that this was some mega brain long-term move, but McAllister has been bred habits. That's the word I was looking for. Habits to play the 6. And then if you bring in Benacer, who I was going to say isn't the most traditional, but you could have McAllister in some sort of a more traditional pivot that I think could work.
I think that's reasonable.
All right, so that's where I went with. So number 1 overall in the entire transfer window is get Liverpool at number 6.
Yes, I think that's number 1, but number 2 for me is close second, and that's getting a center back in.
Yeah, that's my next.
And I have Maxence Lacroix from Wolfsburg, who has been fantastic.
Yeah.
He's tall.
He's talked about every time a window pops up.
Yes. And he's 6'3",
Yeah.
6'3", which is Liverpool. Like, all their center backs are tall and fast. Like, they all can cover a lot of ground. They're all comfortable on the ball. And he can play either as a left center back or a right center back. So I think he's probably the guy they're going to go for. I think he's rumored for like $30 million release clause, €30 million release clause, give or take. It's a reasonable price. You get him in for, again, this title race for Liverpool dies immediately without a 6 and a center back. So I think those two are definitely top of the list, and that's who I've seen rumored. So I think they'll make the move for him.
My second one, also a center back. We're on the same wavelength, just different players. I have Gonzalo Ignacio from Sporting.
Yeah.
He, similar build.
Yeah.
And Ruben Diaz from Sporting, or am I making that up? Benfica?
Ruben Diaz is from Benfica.
Benfica, yeah. I think the Portuguese league breeds good center backs.
Yeah, Sporting have a couple of good ones.
Yeah. And I think he's been slightly rumored, and the reason that he's not as strong is because I think he'd be more expensive. I think
Yeah,
he
he's-
would be a $60 to $7 million
Probably.
price tag.
Especially in January.
Yeah, exactly. The price goes up in January, and my Liverpool fans have told me that Klopp doesn't like to spend money in January, but I don't know if they've ever needed it as
I mean,
badly.
they spent money on Gakpo last January.
Right. I don't know if they've ever needed it more than they need it now in these two positions, especially. And do you pay that amount of money for someone who potentially is a squad player and not like a day one starter?
Right.
Is the question. But I've seen that a couple times. I haven't watched a ton of them, but everything I've read and a few highlight reels that I've watched, he looks really good. So I went in.
Yeah, no, he was good against us in the Europa League last year. He's a very good center back.
Yeah.
My third is Maximilian Bayer, who I mentioned for potentially to make the Germany squad in the Euros. He's had a great start to the season. If they can get him on the current release clause that he has before he signs a contract extension, which I can only assume is coming, that'd be a big signing for them. And it allows them to play Nunez out on the left, which I think they like to do. I'm not sure they're convinced in either Diaz or Jota, both in their availability and the way they work in this system.
Yep.
And that allows Nunez to be out left with a more tall and athletic and true center forward to play with their back to goal, and Maximilian Bayer at center forward. He's also pretty mobile. Him and Nunez could swap. So I think, I don't think Liverpool are making 3 signings, but the task here was to go for 3 signings. And I don't really think Liverpool is one of the rare clubs where I think they almost never have dead weight. They're very good at getting the squad to turn over.
They did a good job of that.
Right? Like they got rid of Fabinho and Keita before they became real dead weight, right? So I don't see a lot of outgoings coming. I mean, I'm sure there'll be loans here and there. I'm not going to say I know the inner workings of their academy, but Bayer is my third favorite option for them just because they can get him at probably a cut rate on his release clause.
Yeah. This is all with a grain of salt that probably none of these teams will sign 3 players. And we know it's just 3 players that we could see happening and would be good potentially.
Sure.
I do have an outgoing, and it's contingent on a center back coming in.
Okay.
But I think Joe Gomez's time at Liverpool has run its course.
You're right about
and
that.
I think there are some sides in the bottom half of the table, or if he goes to like an Italy or France and finds his form like Smalling did when he went to Italy.
Roma, yeah.
I think Gomez is on his way out because if they bring in a center back, they'll then have Van Dijk. I mean, barring everyone being healthy. I mean, that's why they're bringing in the depth is because everyone's not. But when they are, they'll have Matip, Konate, Van Dijk, and whoever they bring in. That I think Gomez is young enough and has shown enough that they could still get a good price tag for him. So I had
England International always takes extra dollars.
And like, I completely agree with the dead weight comment. I think if they bring in another center back, he could be qualified as
for sure
potential.
I mean, he really hasn't been up to the level of Liverpool for a couple of years.
And he was supposed to be the next guy.
Yeah.